What is this thing, sovereignty, that everybody seems to try to find out about? We're going to explain it step by step. No, we're going to do one thing better. Not only are we going to explain it, we're going to show you step by step how we achieve sovereignty and what it actually means. Okay, the first thing you're going to need is some land. You can't self-government if you don't have land to govern. Nothing to govern, then you have absolutely zero. So let's buy some land.
Allow 10 or 14 business days for your application to be reviewed. After that, once you're found eligible, you'll receive an email or they'll give you a call, and then you'll receive a deed in between 4 and 6 weeks.
Okay, 4 and 6 weeks for the deed, but you said 14 days for somebody to put us through a process to see if we're eligible. What's that process?
To get your application reviewed because we have a high volume.
Okay.
So we're just asking, 10 to 14 days before we look over your application.
Okay, and you know what anything that could disqualify us?
What will disqualify you is if the lot isn't adjacent to your property or if you owe any back taxes.
Neither one of those. The property is adjacent to our thing. Now, I want to be more specific when you say adjacent. The property that we've been taking care of is exactly in back of our house, both properties.
All right, then you'll be eligible.
Okay, that's.
So
I just want to know what adjacent means.
Yeah, so on our website, okay, let me see something. Okay, let me pull it up first. Highlight sales. Okay, may I have your address?
Detroit, Michigan.
So, did you just purchase 13953 Apple and
Yes.
13967 Apple?
Yes.
All right, yep, so that made you eligible. So it is adjacent to your property, so you're good to go.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. All right, I gotta go. We're voting today.
Oh, yes. That's a must.
Thank you very much.
All right, so you have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we have some property. Now the second thing we will have to do if we want to be sovereign or off the grid is we don't want to pay property taxes if we live in a free country. Can that be done? Okay, so this is what we did for step 2.
Welcome to the Internal Revenue Service. To continue in English, press 1. Para continuar en español. This number is for questions about exempt organizations, employer-sponsored pension plans, political organizations, tax-exempt municipal bonds, and government entities. If all you need is a blank form or application or related publication and instructions, press 1. For questions about exempt organizations, press 2. For questions about employer-sponsored pension plans, press 3. For all other questions, press 4. To hear these options again, if you are calling because you received a notice or have questions about the automatic revocation of your organization's tax-exempt status for failure to file a required annual return for 3 consecutive years, please visit the Charities and Nonprofits page of irs.gov at www.irs.gov/EO. This site provides answers to frequently asked questions, including how to reinstate your exemption. If you have been to the website and still have questions on auto revocation, a revocation notice, Or if you need information regarding a pending application, press 1. If you have questions on a previously filed exempt organization return or extension, including questions on a penalty or delinquency notice you received, press 2. If you need help with completing a return for an exempt organization, press 3. If you want to verify the status of an exempt organization, need assistance in completing an application for exemption, and for all other questions pertaining to an exempt organization, press 4. To hear these options again, press 9. Do not throw away your tax-exempt status. The law requires most tax-exempt organizations, other than churches, to file an annual Form 990, 990EZ, 990PF, or 990N e-postcard with the IRS. It is important to file because if you do not file for 3 consecutive years, you will automatically lose your tax-exempt status. For details, go to www.irs.gov/EO. Your call may be monitored or recorded for quality purposes. Please hold while your call is transferred.
Internal Revenue Service, this is Miss Chambers. My ID number is 100195772. How can I help you?
How you do, Miss Chambers? I think I got some basic questions.
Okay.
We have a church and a church-ran organization. We're about to buy some property, and we want to make sure that it's still property tax exempt.
And what was your question for me?
I just need to know if a church is still tax exempt.
Churches are exempt as long as the church is organized under 501c3, operated as a 501c3, and they meet the characteristics of a church. If they do those 3 things, then they are automatically tax exempt.
Okay. Our religion won't let us do anything in the state. So we talked to our lawyer. Our lawyer says we didn't have to do a 501c, that we already signed as a nonprofit.
Okay.
Is that
so? You say signed as a nonprofit. Are you talking about the Articles of Incorporation?
Yes, the Articles of Incorporations and the EIN number we signed under years ago. This is not nothing recent. Is a nonprofit organization because we work on donations and stuff like that.
All right, so this is what we're talking about. So the Articles of Incorporation is your organizing document. And as long as your organizing document, your Articles of Incorporation, include the 501c3 provisions in it, and you can find what those provisions are. They're listed in the Form 1023 instructions, which can be downloaded at irs.gov. So if you have those provisions and you operate as a 501c3 is required to operate, and you meet the characteristics of a church, then you're tax exempt automatically without submitting an application.
Okay, but doesn't that violate the Constitution of crossing church and state?
Does what part of it?
The 501c. It makes it a corporation when it's supposed to be a church.
Well, a corporation is a way to be organized. It's not a business.
Right.
So when you incorporate something, you're saying the way that we are organized means that we are not liable for injuries individually because we are now a corporate entity. So if someone is going to say, well, we're suing you, this isn't for a person, it's toward a business entity. I shouldn't say business, but an entity. So that's what corporation means. It doesn't mean that you're a business. And what we're talking about is separation of church and state. Because if there wasn't a separation of church and state, then this organization could not be considered automatically tax exempt by just organizing and operating as a 501c3. So that's what is the separation of church and state, not the fact that they incorporated. But we don't require you to be incorporated. So We just require that you create an organizing document. It could be your charter. It could be articles of association that are not incorporated. But it was basically what you said, that you formed a corporation. And if you formed a corporation, that is also an organizing document.
Okay. No, we did the nonprofit. We had several nonprofits going under because we had a library under our thing. I think they tried to take our library and make it 501c, which didn't help the matters because when we talked to our lawyers, you guys end up owing us money. We make absolutely...
Yeah, but
we don't make any money in it. So
I apologize. I don't understand when you say they made you into a nonprofit.
They said we didn't sign a piece of paper for 3 consecutive years.
No, what I'm talking about is IRS doesn't recognize the word nonprofit. That's a state entity. Are you sure you're calling the right area and not...
No. I'm saying what the IRS sent me. They sent me a form, and we had to do it over the internet. The internet would not accept our form. We kept calling and showing, and they gave us certificates on the internet where we showed that we called in about that subject.
But what was the form, sir?
I think it was the 40. I'm sorry because it's been a long time since we done it. I think it was 40 something easy or something like. It was just a little card that
a 990N.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so someone has sent you the 990N, and you couldn't get it filed, and then what happened after that?
We called them and let them know, but after the 3 years, they took our 501c, and I said, well, we never had one because we don't make any money, so they took it anyway because they said they changed the law and ours doesn't qualify as a tax exempt anymore. So we absolutely make zero money in the library. We don't even buy books. The government gives us books. So
you're talking about not a church, but a library, right?
It's under our church now. The library is under our church when we think.
Right, but when it was under the library, the Pension Protection Act says that all exempt organizations have to file an annual information return every year. And if they fail to file for 3 consecutive years, then they would be automatically revoked unless they meet an exception that says they're not required to file, such as that churches aren't required to file an annual return. So regardless of whether you bring in money or not, or if you're operating or not, you have to file that annual return each year.
No. We understood that, but I'm saying is after we went to our lawyer, the lawyer got a tax refund because we make zero, which means we're again exempt because you was like, well, how much money did you bring in? Did you bring any property? I says, no. Any cars? No. Nothing. So that means we absolutely made zero, which means that you guys owed us. And I said, that doesn't make any sense why you would take a nonprofit knowing that we make absolutely no money whatsoever and then owing us.
How do we know that?
Well, we were telling you. We were going over things. We were telling you about the problems.
But that's the purpose of the return, sir. If you don't file a return for 3 consecutive years, then the general public nor the IRS would be able to know that you're not bringing in any support. That's why it's required that you do it every year, and at least once every 3 years to prevent that auto revocation.
Well, I hope you guys got that fixed because it would have been better if it was a piece of paper we could have filed. We would have had proof. We would have mailed it certified, and we would have had proof that we mailed it in. But they said, no, you have to do it online, and it wasn't set up correctly, so it wouldn't accept it. So we took photos.
But we fixed it.
Yeah, we took photos of that we filed it, but you guys didn't accept, though you wouldn't accept that.
So this is what happens. Typically what will happen is, let's say an organization couldn't get their return filed for the first year. And they just didn't notify us because they said, well, we'll do it next year. And then next year, they couldn't get it filed. So at some point, they should call us. And then what IRS does is we go in and correct the problem to see why it's not filing for you. And if we can't get it corrected, guess what we do? We file it for you. We file it for you to prevent automatic revocation. So had the organization contacted us before revocation to notify that they're not able to get it filed, we could have prevented that revocation and got it filed for you.
Okay, now maybe that's new because me and my partner were on the phone for hours talking to IRS, and they just gave us the runaround. The only thing that they did do is they gave us a number when we for filing that particular thing, and said if we had any more problems to use that number. That's the only thing but they still didn't correct it with that number. They still took the form, so we figured that they just wanted the nonprofits because they were getting rid of all the nonprofits. They said no, what we were told, no nonprofits unless you're a government operating on things. And since we didn't meet that standard, they took all the nonprofit. That's how they explained it to me and my lawyer.
Oh, okay.
So it was crazy.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't know. I don't have any information about that. We have over 20 different tax-exempt organizations. And in reference to nonprofits are treated as businesses in the eyes of the IRS. You have to be tax-exempt to get a special, that special tax exemption. So we don't recognize the word nonprofit other than it's just treated as a business. But you're saying that you were told by your attorney that they were stopping tax exemption unless it was for governmental entities?
Yes, that's what that was the whole funny, because in our library we have a small news station and we were reporting on it. So we were playing the clips and we had put them on the YouTube and Facebook, and we wanted people to hear what was going on because basically they were making us look crazy. So, and they wouldn't accept it. It was like, hey, can you listen to this? Here's the numbers, here's the papers, we did this, it didn't matter. So I didn't know what was going on, but then what happened is our lawyer just said, we're putting everything under your church, So the library went under the church as a church-ran organization, and we opened up our church. So we're about to expand and buy some property, and we're buying it from the state, and I just wanted to make sure that we still meet as tax exempt. So churches meet tax exempts under homestead, right?
Churches are tax, and because you're in this situation that you're in, you'll find this information in writing. Because really, you probably shouldn't take the word of what somebody says, but you'll see that information in writing in Publication 557, which can be downloaded from our website at irs.gov in Chapter 3. Also in Publication 1828. So it tells you how a church can operate or a religious organization can operate as tax exempt.
Okay. That should work. And you guys are the IRS, the official IRS. You're not just a business, right? Okay.
Right. This is the official federal government IRS.
Okay, thank you. Because we talked to some people and we found out it's not the IRS. It was a business trying to operate under it. I was like, you guys says IRS on your website.
Right. They probably say IRS.com, but we are IRS.gov.
Right. So, okay, those were my questions. I just needed to do, because now do I have to file any other paper with you guys, or do I just file it with the state under homestead?
Well, I don't know anything about the state filings, but if the church is already established and they already have their EIN number, and the library is considered an integrated auxiliary of that church, which means they are the church, then the library wouldn't have their own separate EIN number. Everything that comes in to the library typically is going to come through the church, at least 51% of any support. And that's also discussed in Publication 557 under Religious Organizations, and you'll see a heading that says Integrated Auxiliary of a Church.
Okay, so yeah, that's true. I got all that. I'm just making sure there's nothing new that we haven't heard about. that we had to file a paperwork when you get new land and make sure that it's under the, or do I need another tax ID for that land, or can I just file it
Get
under?
another tax ID number. You no longer be a part of the church. You'll create a new entity. So don't get a new EIN number. But if there's anything that you have to do about getting property that's outside of IRS jurisdiction, so I would contact your state about that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Most taxpayers are entitled to an exemption on the tax return that reduces your tax bill in the same way a deduction does. Federal and state governments frequently exempt organizations from income tax entirely when it serves the public, such as with charities and religious organizations.
Now you heard it for yourself, and we have part 2 of becoming sovereign and governing or self-governing your own property off the grid. Okay? So the third part of this, which we're not going to talk about in this segment, we're going to make a part 2 to this, but we are going to let you know what we're going to do. And this is the second part, is filling out a form that lets the people know that we are self-governed. And here's what they look like.